God's not our Father, He's not going to answer. We can have a wrong relationship with others, and that's not just your husband and your wife, but that's everybody. And then, number 3. You know, in there, and I feel like I'm picking on ladies on this thing, but it says here, verse 3 are kind of up to date in their application. Worldly dress can hinder prayer. Worldly dress, the way we dress, can actually hinder prayer. Why is that, do you suppose? Well, for one, 1 Samuel speaks this. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look on the things that people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. You and I tend to be eye-centered. We look at how tall a person is. We look at how beautiful they are. We look at what they're wearing. We look at what car they're driving. We look at all that junk. What does God look at?
Yeah.
He looks right in here. He looks right in here. So you know what? Sometimes, I can remember when I was a high school teacher, I hated teaching high school. And the reason was that some of these young girls, especially in the springtime, would wear what I would call seductive clothing. Now, if you've been reading the news, you'll find that these Muslim men that are roaming around are raping people, raping women, and you know what they're claiming? The clothing that they wear drove him to it. Now, you and I know that's a lame excuse. Okay? But nonetheless, God says about men, if you look on a woman with lust in your heart, you have committed that act. We are eye-focused. So, it's important that, not that we have a contemporary service down here. You know what? You won't see very many suits being worn in that service. The people are in blue jeans. But they are clean, and they are honoring God. Is it necessary what we wear? I think God says that it must be. Because if we look, it says in Isaiah 3, 16 through 26. He says, the women of Zion are haughty. They're walking along with outstretched necks, flirting with their eyes, strutting along with swaying hips, the ornaments jingling on their ankles. Therefore the Lord will bring sores on their head. God is concerned about this. He's concerned about the way you and I dress. Why? Because it can be a distraction to those around. Well, it's enough on that. Number 4 is a proud spirit. In verse 4, it says that it's a very beautiful thing to have a gentle and quiet spirit. So, in Luke 18, 9 through 14, we read this about humble spirit. To some who are confident of their own righteousness, this is about the Pharisee and the tax collector who are praying in church. To some who are confident of their own righteousness and look down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, and even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, I give a tenth of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Well, a proud spirit can hinder prayer. Answers to prayer. Number 5, lack of Christian love. If you look at verses 8 and 9. Verses 8 and 9 said that there's a great need for God's people to be sympathetic, for them to be loving, compassionate, and humble. And these conditions need to be met before we can prevail in prayer. Another verse that corresponds to that is Ephesians 4:32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave you. Sixth thing, unclean lips can hinder prayer. Verses 10 and 11 are very searching. They tell us there's great need for that lips must be clean, and that God will in fact never hear them and answer prayers that are uttered by tale-bearing, lying, or unkind lips. In Isaiah, it's with reference to Isaiah 6, verse 5. Woe to me, I cried, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips and live among the people of unclean lips. And my eyes have seen the King and Lord Almighty. And then in 59, 1 through 2. Surely the arm of the Lord is not too short to save, nor his ear too dull to hear. But your iniquities have separated you from your God. Your sins have hidden his face from you so that he will not hear. So, wrong relationship with God, wrong relationship with others, the dress that we wear, a proud spirit, lack of Christian love, unclean lips or lying lips, and the last one, a bad conscience. This comes